Stop scrolling. This will sound harsh. Most men are lied to about this, and it costs them years of their life. Sometimes everything. Here's the shock. A woman's past doesn't disappear. It doesn't reset. It doesn't magically stop matching. And no, this isn't about judgment. It's about psychology. Stay with me, because the part no one talks about is coming. Men are told one thing. Her past doesn't matter. If you care, you're insecure. People change. Sounds reasonable. But here's the problem. Psychology doesn't care about slogans. The brain remembers patterns. The nervous system remembers habits. Behavior leaves fingerprints. And attraction is not logical. It's neurological. Here's the part that makes people uncomfortable. Past behavior is the strongest predictor of future behavior. Not opinions. Not intentions. Not Instagram captions. Patterns. And men ignore this at their own risk. But wait. It gets deeper. Let me ask you something. Would you hire a pilot without checking flight history? Would you invest your life savings without seeing past returns? Of course not. Yet when it comes to relationships, men are told to gamble blindly. Why? Because feelings are involved. And feelings override logic. But marriage is not a feeling. It's a long-term psychological contract. And contracts are based on history. Here's the twist. Men don't fear a woman's past because of insecurity. They fear it because of pattern recognition. And pattern recognition is how humans survive. Let me explain what's actually happening in the brain. When someone repeatedly engages in chaos, their nervous system adapts to chaos. Drama becomes familiar. Intensity becomes normal. Peace feels strange. This is an opinion. This is conditioning. And conditioning doesn't vanish because someone says, "I want stability now." That's not growth. That's a desire. And desire is not rewiring. Here's the scary part. Many people confuse exhaustion with transformation. They're not healed. They're just tired. And when they recover, old patterns come back. But men are expected to ignore this. Why? Because the truth makes people uncomfortable. Let me tell you about a man I counseled. Smart. Successful. Calm. He met a woman who said all the right things. "I've changed. I want family. I'm done with chaos." She was convincing. Until he saw her old social media. Years of partying. New men constantly. Posts mocking commitment. When he asked her about it, she said something important. That was the old me. But here's the psychological question. Was it growth? Or was it strategy change? Because the old approach stopped working. This distinction matters more than people realize. And most men learn it too late. Here's something nobody tells men. People don't change because they age. They change because they do work. Therapy. Self-reflection. Pattern interruption. Without that, time just makes habits quieter. Not gone. And quiet habits are the most dangerous ones. Because they resurface under stress. And stress is guaranteed in long-term relationships. Here's another uncomfortable truth. Men aren't afraid of a woman's past. They're afraid of being her rehabilitation center. They don't want to be the calm after the storm. They want to be the partner in peace. But here's the catch. Peace feels boring to people wired for chaos. And boredom is often mistaken for lost attraction. That's how marriages collapse. Not from hatred, but from restlessness. And men have seen this play out again and again. Let's talk about bonding. This part is crucial. Every relationship teaches the brain something. Stay, leave, detach, repeat. The more someone practices emotional detachment, the better they get at it. This is not morality. This is neuroscience. Pair bonding weakens with repetition of breakage. And no one talks about this honestly. Because it's uncomfortable. But men feel it. They sense when someone struggles to attach deeply. They sense when affection feels conditional. They sense when intimacy feels temporary. That intuition exists for a reason. Now here's where the confusion begins. Men are told, don't judge her past. But also told, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Both cannot be true simultaneously. So men hesitate, and they're shamed for it. But hesitation isn't insecurity. It's caution. Marriage is the largest emotional and financial risk most men will ever take. Ignoring red flags isn't bravery. It's denial. Here's something fascinating. Women who live the most chaotically often demand the most stability later. They want peace, structure, reliability. From men who never lived that chaos. This creates resentment. Because those men were rejected when they were boring. Now they're needed. Not desired. Needed. And men can feel the difference. Let's talk about rebranding. Because this is everywhere now. Party photos disappear. Quotes appear. Spiritual captions replace nightlife stories. But here's the truth. Instagram is not therapy. Deleting photos is not healing. Rebranding is not transformation. And men know the difference. Because real change shows up in behavior, not aesthetics. Want to know the clearest sign of genuine change? Here it is. She doesn't rush trust. She understands hesitation. She doesn't demand belief. She earns it. She's stable alone. She doesn't panic in silence. She doesn't create drama when things are calm. Peace doesn't scare her. That's rare, but it exists. And men respect it deeply. Now let's flip the lens. This isn't about hating women. This is about compatibility. Can someone wired for intensity enjoy calm long-term? Can someone addicted to validation feel fulfilled with one partner? Can someone who avoided responsibility suddenly crave it? Sometimes yes. Often no. These are practical questions, not moral ones. And pretending otherwise hurts everyone. Here's where men usually get burned. She shares her past. He feels special, chosen, the one who finally understands me. But he's not special. He's useful, until stability feels suffocating. Then the cycle restarts, and men blame themselves. But the pattern existed before them. Stress reveals everything. When life gets hard, old wiring activates. Chaos seekers create chaos. Validation seekers seek attention. Avoidance seekers detach. This is why men watch behavior under pressure, not words in comfort. Because comfort lies. Pressure tells the truth. Now here's the part no one wants to admit. Some consequences are permanent, not as punishment, but as reality. Your 20s matter. Your patterns matter. Your reputation matters. Your choices echo forward. Pretending otherwise doesn't empower anyone. It just delays accountability. Men who've been burned become selective. Not bitter. Selective. They wait. They observe. They don't rush. And they're called cold for it. But they've learned. The hard way. Let me say this clearly. People can change. But most don't. And hoping someone changed without evidence is gambling. With your future. Your peace. Your children. Your life. Here's the rule men should live by. Watch patterns over promises. Behavior over words. Consistency over intensity. Don't let urgency rush you. Don't let shame silence your instincts. Your caution is wisdom, not fear. If you're a woman watching this, and you've genuinely changed, you don't demand trust. You understand skepticism. You don't hide your past. You integrate it. You don't rush commitment. You respect timelines. That's growth. And men recognize it instantly. Final thought. Your past doesn't define you, but it influences you. Your mistakes don't doom you, but they shape you. Your patterns don't control you, but they predict you. The most attractive trait isn't perfection. It's accountability. Now I want to hear from you. Have you seen real transformation? Or just rebranding? Comment below. And if this made you uncomfortable, good. That's where clarity begins. Subscribe before you forget, because the next video goes even deeper.